Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I just had a little bit of a technical glitch there for a second, but I was able to figure it out, thank goodness. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Sandy Lake. I'm the president of the ICBA this year. Welcome to our annual meeting. We're all so thrilled that you could join us. We've got a very, very short meeting agenda, and then we're going to get to the fun part, which is our annual dinner, which we're doing this year COVID style as a shrimp cocktail, if you will. Our board member Chris Wickman is going to make a cocktail and mocktail for us, a demonstration, and you guys are welcome to participate and join along. During that time, feel free to chat with others, and it's just going to be a very informal and hopefully a fun event. But let me first start with our meeting and get the business out of the way. So I'm going to call our annual meeting to order. Our first order of business is approving the meeting minutes for last year's annual meeting. So first, let me ask, is there anyone that would like to suggest any changes, corrections, additions, or have any comments on last year's meeting minutes that were sent out to everybody? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for last year.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Because we're such a large group, I'm going to handle the vote this way. Anybody opposed to approving last year's minute meetings, please say aye now. Hearing no opposition, the meeting minutes are passed. Chuck Barbieri is going to now give us the results from the elections for the board of directors for this year. So I'm going to turn it over to Chuck.
Thank you, Sandy. I want to first of all thank the members of our nominating committee this past year that included Judge Shauna Dunnings, Paul McCord, also Russ Bauer, Jessica Zimbelman, and we were responsible for the slate, good, bad, or indifferent. And actually, I want to applaud the candidates. It was a very competitive race this year. And for those that didn't win, I hope that they will continue to support our organization and try again, hopefully, and participate in the meantime in some of our committees and other events that we have. The persons elected for the next 3-year terms are Alex Rusek, who's actually being retained. He's served his first 3-year term, and this will now be his second 3-year term. Ernzi Augustin from Chelgen and Tripp. She will have her first 3-year term. And finally, Brendan Basiga will be our third particular member that has been elected and will be joining us starting June 30th or July 1, however you want to look at our year to year. So that's the ICBA elected board members for this year. I don't know, Sandy, whether you want me to proceed ahead and announce the members of the Young Lawyers section as well. I was given proxy by Mark DeLuca from the YLS to announce those results as well.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Because Ernzi Augustin probably doesn't have enough time on her hands, she has also been elected to a 2-year term to the YLS board, along with Hillary Stafford from Foster, Swift, Collins and Smith, Lauren Kissel of Sinus Dramus, and Kelly McClintock of the Nichols Law Firm. And those terms will last from July 1 of 2021 through June 30 of 2023. And thanks again for the participation of everybody in the YLS as well. I have nothing further to report, Sandy. I'd be happy to take any questions if anybody has any. Otherwise, my report is done.
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much, Chuck. I appreciate it. Before we move on to our fun part of our meeting, I just want to open it up and find out if anybody has any questions or comments that they would like to raise to the board at this time. All right, I'm going to take this opportunity to escape that then. And I'm going to go ahead and close out this annual meeting for this year. And we're going to go ahead and get started with Chris Wickman, who's going to have a fun demonstration regarding making a cocktail. And again, this is all very casual. You're welcome to stay on, to ask questions, to have comments, to share stories, whatever. Just informal. It's just a fun way for us all to get together. So with that, are you ready, Chris?
I'm ready, Sandy.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
All right, we'll make sure we're not taking minutes during this part. Everyone, feel free to speak up, to participate, to have fun. I'm probably going to be dancing over here a little bit myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Wickman. I am an associate at the Nichols Law Firm. I'm on the board of directors for ICBA. The credentials I don't often get to give is that I am also a graduate of the Mainline Center for Bartending School in the Manioc neighborhood of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I won it in an auction for supporting public interest jobs because they supported me during my public interest job. And it was a 40-hour course over a period of 5 weeks. And then we took at the very end the bar exam. So I passed that bar exam and then shortly thereafter passed the other bar exam. So for everyone who doesn't want to sit here and listen to me go on and on about different things you need to know, the recipes, the cocktail and the mocktail are now in the chat. I'm going to talk generally about some advice with regards to pairing alcohol with mixers as well as alcohol with food and things like that before getting to our demonstration. So generally you want to match like with like. So if you're drinking a light liquor, you're going to usually match it with light mixers. So who can tell me some light liquors? Go ahead and unmute yourself and volunteer.
Gin?
Go ahead.
Would it be gin? Are you
Gin.
talking about light in color?
Yes, exactly. Light in color. So gin is one of them.
Vodka. Vodka.
Vodka. I heard from a couple people.
White rum.
White rum. Oh, somebody knows the difference between white rum and dark rum. I like it. So those are generally your white liquors. Now, who can tell me some of the dark liquors?
Whiskey?
I heard whiskey.
Hennessy.
Hennessy. Okay, so a cognac.
Bourbon.
Bourbon. Yep. We had white rum. We got to have
Dark rum.
dark rum or spiced rum, Captain Morgan, something like that. So generally you want to mix light with light. So tell me some light mixers that you can think of. And once again, this is light in color. What mixes with light liquors? You probably
Lemon
know some of
juice.
these. I'm sorry?
Lemon juice.
Lemon juice. Are you just looking at the recipe at this point?
Club soda. No.
Club soda, yep, or tonic, good.
Water?
Water, yep. Oh, you can mix water with, use it to water down some of the dark liquors and stuff as well. Another one that's popular is light pops or fruit juices. So you can mix light rum with fruit juices, things like that. Now, dark mixers, I can't think of a whole variety. Dark pops generally is what you're going to mix with that. You can do them straight. You can do them with a little bit of water, but for instance, Coca-Cola and spiced rum or rum and Coke, also known as a Cuba Libre, is going to be one of those examples. So that's also the rule when it comes to pairing drinks with food as well. So usually if it's a lighter meal or a lighter meat, such as fish or chicken, it's often going to pair better with light drinks. So for instance, fish, chicken, like pasta, seafood, salad, things like that, tends to pair with a lighter drink or a lighter wine, you know, a white or a rosé. For heavier meals or darker meals, such as red meat, burger, steaks, things like that, you're generally going to have red wine or dark colored drinks or heavier beers. So for instance, if you've been out of a place and they recommend a light beer with a meal versus a dark beer with a meal, that's probably some of the reasoning. Now, there's always exceptions. One of the exceptions is tequila. Tequila does well with spicy foods. So for instance, you might be having seafood, but you're gonna, you know, if it's a spicy seafood dish, you might have tequila with it. Or if you're having Cuban or Mexican food, you know, tequila is also a good mixer for that. So to make your own drinks, it doesn't take anything special. It takes the ingredients. You can find recipes online. Every recipe is going to have some variation depending on whoever's writing it. I would try, when you find a recipe that you might like, try it the way it's written to start. Now, it's only a starting place. You can always mix it up later. If you like something, you don't like something, tweak it a little bit. That includes with ice. Now, everyone says, okay, I don't put ice in my drinks because I'm just watering down my drinks, but sometimes it's important. So for instance, if a recipe calls for this much alcohol, this much alcohol, this much alcohol, this much ice, and then fill the rest with mixer, you're going to end up with a whole lot of different amount of mixer if you don't add the ice in. It only helps to keep the drink cold, but sometimes it's important for proportions as well. And that's famous with Long Islands and things like that. So I'm going to give an example. One of my favorite drinks is a gin Gimlin. It's gin and lime juice with some simple syrup. It is over 70% gin, or 2/3 gin basically, and 1/3 lime juice and simple syrup. Now, I don't get it when I go out because people hear gin and lime juice and they mix it like a gin and tonic, which is 1/3 gin, 2/3 lime juice, which if you want to drink pure lime juice is wonderful, but I don't particularly enjoy that. Or
Hey,
the
Chris.
50-50. Yes.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
How do you make a simple syrup?
So a simple syrup, usually what I do, you can make it with sugar and water. Usually I just get it at the store. So this is Rose's simple
Oh, okay.
syrup. I'm trying to, people are popping in the waiting room. One moment. So usually I just get a simple syrup. It's in the mixer section at, for instance, Meyer and things like that. Rose's also does a lime juice. They also do a grenadine, things like that. And usually what it is simple syrup mixed with lime juice, so you don't have to mix them yourself. Okay. So I just buy a simple syrup. If you're fancier than I am, you can make your simple syrup. Same as when we get down to the lime juice that's in the recipe. You know, I can pretend that I'm going to squeeze my lime or my lemons, but I'm definitely not. So this is lemon juice. I just bought it. No sweetening to it, but it's good for making drinks. So, all right. So we'll talk about, this is the shrimp dinner alternative. So of course my mind goes to, I'm going to find a drink that has shrimp in it as part of the mixed drink. So I found, I did a Google for shrimp cocktail, which turned out horribly, because if you think about that, shrimp and cocktail sauce, there's no alcohol involved, things like that. So I adjusted my Boolean search and I found a few drinks. So I want to describe them to you. A shrimp cocktail martini. We have a shrimp Bloody Mary. We have a drunken shrimp cocktail, or the favorite of what I found, which is it's a drink, and listen to me carefully. It is called Bull Shot, S-H-O-T. Obviously a pun on something else, but what it is you have shrimp stock, or you blend shrimp and mix it with alcohol. I can't make that. Just plain and simple. I can't hold it down. I don't want to drink it. We'd have to cut to commercial. Like I'd make it, hold it up and like, look, it looks great. And then I'm gone. So we're going to do something that would be good pairing for shrimp. So is shrimp a light meat or a dark meat?
Light.
Light, perfect. So we're going to mix it with a light liquor, which is gin. And I like gin anyway, so that's going to work out for me. So I wanted to do something to celebrate. Catherine, I think you have a question?
I was just going to say, Chris, that shrimp actually in the cocktail is not that unusual. In Canada, they always make cocktails with clamato juice, like being clams. So, maybe that wouldn't be that bad.
I've had some clamato-based drinks, and I also think they're gross, but yes. So, it's for everybody too. And I'm not a big shrimp fan anyway, so maybe it's just, different tastes. But yeah, thank you, Catherine. That's definitely something for people to try if they like it.
Sorry, Chris, I don't want to interrupt, but being that I'm Canadian, those are called Caesars.
Thank you, Brendan.
My husband is Canadian and he loves it too. So
yeah. So we have Kale, we have Brendan. I think there was someone else in the chat. I think it might have been Emily Jefferson who's also endorsing it. So there we go. Have Caesars. Maybe we'll do that for next year's. Hopefully we're going to be in person and I won't be doing this in my kitchen. So coming to mind, I wanted to make a drink special for the ICBA. So we're going to do a modified version of what's called the Chelsea Sidecar. just kind of doing my own little twist on it. So this is going to be the Lansing Sidebar. It's not associated with Mr. Aboud's bar in East Lansing, which is wonderful and things like that. But this is the Lansing Sidebar. So in the Lansing Sidebar, and I shared the recipe in the chat, you're going to put 1 shot of gin, half shot of blue curacao, which you can intermix with triple sec. But the nice thing about blue curacao is that you're going to end up with a lovely drink with the blue, you know, similar to the blue in our logo. You're also going to do a half shot of lime juice and a half shot of simple syrup. So ideally, this would be served in a martini glass, you know, the pretty fancy glasses and things like that. I don't have martini glasses at home, so you get a simple wine glass that we're going to go ahead and make with it. What I'm going to use is my bartending kit. It's a bartending kit I've had since back when I was in law school, minus there was a bottle opener that also had a knife on it that I didn't realize when I tried to take it on a plane. That is no longer with me for obvious reasons. But my bartending kit is what I'm going to use today. So it is a shaker, the other half of the shaker right here. We're going to use something called a jigger, which this jigger in particular has 1.5 ounces of drink at the top and 0.75 at the bottom, which is important because this is 1 shot. This is a half of a shot. So we're going to use that. We're going to add ice to our shaker. So I'm going to take some ice and put probably 4 to 6 ice cubes in there. If I had too much, well, it doesn't really matter. So I'm adding ice to our shaker. Like I said, not only helps with the temperature, but also helps with making the drink. So if you don't have a jigger, and you can get this bartending kit for 30 bucks online on Amazon or in our local stores and things like that. But if you don't have a jigger, you can use a regular shot glass, would also work. Or honestly, just kind of eyeball it. Just try to get your proportions straight and you'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my 1.5 ounces of gin. Trying to pour it so everyone can see it, which almost assures that I'm going to spill it. You fill it up right up to the top, and there goes I'm spilling it. Stupid hand shaking. And you can take it to the edge and pour it right in. I'm going to do a half shot of lime juice. The other thing you can do with these jiggers is set them right on the edge of your shaker. Fill it up and pour it straight in. Balance it right there. And the order of the drinks I'm putting in here right now doesn't matter. Now, that's not always the case. If you're not going to mix your drink, which I highly recommend doing for most drinks, but if you're not going to mix your drink, the order matters, and you definitely want to put the alcohol in the bottom. One of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make is by putting alcohol on the top of their drinks. And so what that means is, because alcohol is less dense than other drinks and most mixers, it's not going to sink at all, which means you're going to have a bunch of mixer in the bottom and all the alcohol right at the top. So you're going to be sipping nothing but pure rum or vodka or gin for a little bit, and then you're going to taste next to nothing. And I don't know if that's because it didn't mix or because you just drank, you know, in real short order, about a shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, whatever the weight is of alcohol first. So we've got all our ingredients in there. And I'm going to do my best Tom Cruise from Cocktail impression and just shake them up. Mary Chartier has no problem with drinking all the alcohol first. But when it comes down to it, then what you would do is you just make it like that. Just drink it straight, Mary. We'll have to have you come over in the backyard sometime and we'll have you drink yours straight, and then I'll make some mixed drinks for everybody else.
Hey, Chris, let me put you on the spot.
Sure.
Why is it curacao as opposed to crackle, which is how I pronounced it, I think, when I was in college?
I learned it from who taught me in bartending school, but I thought that it was from...
is it based on the island?
I believe it is, but
Okay.
I don't know. Let me ask someone. Yeah, that's how I learned it. It could be a completely, I'm completely wrong, but you pronounce it how you like. Same as I pronounce Worcestershire sauce as Worcestershire sauce, because that's what I like. This isn't a cooking lesson, and I'm not putting it in any of our drinks, although that is not uncommon.
Chris, I just Googled it, and you are correct. That's how you pronounce it. I'm with Sandy. I think I pronounced it, like Caraco or whatever too, but I struggled with quinoa for a really long time, I mean, I've been known to like just point to something on a menu because I don't know how to pronounce it. So Chris, you are Mr. Knowledgeable.
Well, there you go, Mary. And almost everything I've learned is either from Mary or Google. So that works out. So we have our drink mixed up. The other part of the bartending kit that we're using here is the strainer. And all this does is seeks to block the actual solids, in this case, only ice, but sometimes it's lemon particles and things like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and pour it into our cup. And we get that lovely blue drink. Is anyone making it with me? I don't think I saw anyone. But for everyone who has a drink, let's go ahead and cheers. This is to a heck of a year. Hopefully we never have to do it again this way, but we've made it through and we're doing well, and we appreciate everybody being here with us today. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Here, here.
I cheated and used a Bartesian.
What was
Hey,
that?
Chris, I cheated and used a Bartesian. Have you seen that? It's like the Keurig that makes mixed drinks.
Oh, I have not.
Oh, it's awesome.
Well, okay, so screw the bartending kit. Get that, whatever that is, do that.
Hey, Chris, I have a question for you about the gin you used. It's Judge McCormick.
Hey, Judge.
What do they tell you in bartender school, top shelf to make mixed drinks, or can you use the bottom shelf liquor? Does it matter?
So usually as a bartender, you're going to ask what the person wants. And every bottom shelf and top shelf is different bar to bar. So what I used today was my favorite, which is Tanqueray. It's really the only gin I keep in my house. I've had, Blue Sapphire, or I'm sorry, Sapphire. Somebody help me out with the name.
I don't drink gin. I'm a vodka girl.
Bombay Sapphire. Thank you. Thanks, Alex.
Hendrix is good too.
Hendrix, there you go. So some
Tanqueray, right? Tanqueray.
Yep, Tanqueray is mine. So in some bars, Tanqueray is going to be middle shelf. I've been in bars where this is the well gin. And when they call it well, what that means is in front of every bartender is going to be the 5 whites. Okay, they call them the 5 whites, but it is gin, vodka, tequila, rum, and triple sec. Triple sec's in so many drinks that it's actually in the well. And they all have pourers on the top of them. So you'll see a bartender make drinks and they're going to pour, and they're just going to basically pour for 3 seconds. 3 seconds with a pour properly done is going to be the equal of 1 shot. So if you have someone who's pouring for longer than 3 seconds, under 3 seconds, they're doing something different than a pure shot if they have a pourer on the top of it. So Christine, actually, could you grab me? Well, hold on one sec. I didn't use pourers since I didn't figure people would have them sitting around at home, but this is an example of a pourer. And what it does is it goes right into the top of your alcohol bottle. So instead of pouring straight, you're actually now going to be, as an example, pouring, if you don't hold it upside down, 1, 2, 3. I'm not pouring it well, so that took 4. You have a full shot here for 4 seconds. And now I don't know what to do with this. We're going to figure it out.
Pour it in the drink, Chris. It's okay.
Oh, it will. But I got to wait till everyone is off Zoom with me. So, other questions about bartending for right now before we go into our mocktail?
I have a silly question.
Where did you bartend, Chris?
I bartended for a grand total of 1 night in a bar, a little dive bar in Philadelphia near the school. And then honestly, I bartended a ton of parties. It's something I do for fun. I have a full bar set up in the cabinet and things like that. So mostly it's at home or at parties for friends and things like that. But it was a skill that I thought I would use to make money in case I didn't pass the bar or, while in law school, but I had another 4 jobs, so it never came up.
I met my husband bartending, so it's a very good job.
Well, there you go. There's an added benefit. Other questions?
Chris, when did you live in Manayunk?
When did I live in Manayunk?
Yeah, you said
So
you
I-
won.
Yeah, so that's where I went to bartending school. Are you familiar with Manayunk?
It's where I met my husband.
Okay, I was living in East Falls for 2 years during law school.
Yeah,
So I was
Manayunk,
one-
great town.
Oh,
Awesome.
it is.
Tons
It's
of
a
fun.
wonderful bar district for those who haven't been there. I actually found East Falls, which is one neighborhood east, because I got off on the wrong bus and was wandering with a friend of mine heading to the bars in Manayunk, and I loved East Falls. Compared to where I lived, it was because they had all kinds of stuff outside that nobody was stealing, which was nice compared to the neighborhood I lived in. But Manayunk is awesome.
Were you from Philadelphia?
I just went to law school there. I'm from Southeast Michigan originally. I had a roommate last year at college who was from Philly. And so he suggested Philly. He thought it was amazing. So I went out there and, I enjoyed my time. I loved East Falls, Manayunk area specifically, all the history. It was really fun to take con law. And they're like, this, major historical event happened about 1.5 miles that way, which was kind of cool. So yeah, Manayunk's awesome.
Yeah, very, very awesome. Fun
It's like
times
one of
there.
the only movie theaters in Philadelphia, at least last I was there, which is a strange thing to be missing in a city, especially compared to New York. So,
I
other
just didn't hear the accent, so.
Nope, no accent. Although if we get into the Schuylkill or we talk about water or water ice or a steak and things like that, I can do feign a little bit of it, but it's been a while since I've been back.
It's all long vowels in Philadelphia. That's all you have to remember.
Yeah, if people were wondering about the Curacao, go ahead and look up the Schuylkill River. Schuylkill, I want to say. And that's Schuylkill.
What is it?
Schuylkill, I believe.
Schuylkill. Oh,
Schuylkill.
wow.
Yep. And water is water. A steak that's not referring to a ribeye or a T-bone, that is a Philly cheesesteak, except they just call it a steak. Philly's cheesesteaks only come with whiz, unless you ask otherwise. Certain presidential candidates have gotten that wrong and lost the Philadelphia vote.
And all the water, don't forget about the soft pretzels, because all the water is dirty in Philadelphia, which is why the bread is excellent. And that's why the cheesesteaks are so good.
And I've never had better vegetables or meat than I would go to the Reading market downtown and get all my vegetables and meat and things like that from all the Amish who bring them in every day. Some great food and great eating in Philly for sure.
So, when you Google that Schuylkill River, it says like they have different questions. And the first one is, how many bodies have been found in the Schuylkill River, which I thought was really funny. So, because I'm from the East Coast too, so I feel like that's a very East Coast kind of question that, you would get. Like, yeah.
And the answer is not as many as are in there.
I bet you're right.
I used to live right up the hill from the Schuylkill River, and I would, I'm going to date myself a little bit here. I would rollerblade down to the river and then down to the art museum and run up the rocky steps and things like that, which is much more challenging on rollerblades, might I add. He had it easy. He was just running all across Philly.
Is anybody watching Mayor of Easttown on HBO? That's supposed to be set in Pennsylvania, and I've heard that the accents are spot on.
It's great.
I am, and I like it.
But what did you say?
Ailish, I think she said
Oh,
she
yeah.
is and she likes it.
Okay, I love that show. I'm like, honestly, Sunday night, like, do not try and reach me when that is on, no matter what's going on. But I think the accents are fabulous. I don't know how authentic they are, but I mean, I think they sound authentic to me. It sounds like very East Coast. So.
Oh, Lisa, I think you're muted. Documents. There's Lisa.
I want to ask a question. What was the name of the show, and is it on HBO?
Yeah, it's called Mayor of Easttown, and it stars Kate Winslet and another guy who, like, last week was drunk in a bar. And I mean, he's acting, but he looked like every drunk person you've ever seen in a bar. Like, he just did such a great job, and it's a really, really good, like, it's a very good show.
Well, thank you. I apparently I am not in their demographic, and all the shows I used to like seem to have ended. So it's nice to have a show to watch because, you know, especially Sunday night before you get ready for the big work week. So I appreciate the recommendation.
Oh, sure. I love TV, so you can always reach out. I always have a show, you know, looming, I think.
Yeah, I miss, did anybody here ever watch Stumptown? I know we're a little off topic, but apparently they're not going to renew that. Stumptown, it was with the gal that used to be in How I Met Your Mother, Kobe Smothers. Yeah,
Oh.
and I'm really sad about that, but I'm moving on with my life and I'll let Chris get back to it.
You're quite fine. In fact, I'll take a sip of my drink. It is here to socialize, not all just stare at me.
Well,
But
how is it, Chris?
it's good. It's not as good as I made it yesterday. So, and it's not as good as I'm going to make as soon as we're off video. But it's pretty good. I even got
You
the
got
stuff
that.
out.
You got that extra shot locked and loaded.
Yeah, no kidding. I almost poured it in the sink. I was like, no, that's going in my belly. So
I have another question, but this is for Chuck. Chuck,
Yeah.
what kind of wine are you drinking?
Pinot Noir.
What brand? I mean, what vintner?
We got it from Dusty's. You can get 6 for $60.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll be honest with you, my wife and I opened it up last night. We only had one glass. And I told her that I needed to have another glass tonight.
Well, I go there too. I just wondered because I'm a fan of reds and I was
Yeah.
looking for a recommendation of something.
Yeah. Dusty's does a great job as far as I'm concerned. The price you can't beat.
Right. Thanks.
other questions or comments or chatting before I move on to our mocktail?
Chris, what was your favorite part about being a bartender for your day?
For my day, for me at the time, I was in law school. I had no idea if I'd like being a lawyer at all or if I'd feel comfortable. But as soon as I got behind the bar, I felt super comfortable running all over, helping people out, like trying to remember all the drinks. Because at that point, they know it's a bartending school graduation, and all they're doing is just giving you the most difficult, ridiculous drinks they can think of. And then you got the one local who's like, a beer. And I was like, could I get a clue? Like any kind of beer, which another Philly thing is a lager. If you were told a lager, Judge McCormick, do you know what a lager is?
Nope, not a beer drinker.
That is specifically a Yingling lager. Yingling is a wonderful brand that I don't think we really have here in Michigan. It's only at select places, but if you order a lager, it's always going to be a Yingling lager from a brewery just outside of Philadelphia, and it's amazing. One of the last times I could
that was outside my price bracket when I was in Philadelphia. And so, when I was at school at the University of Pittsburgh, we drank like IC Light, which is Iron City beer, which is about as cheap as we can get. And so that's way past the price point, Chris, from back in those good old days.
See, I paid too much for law school. Sometimes they'd have open bar and we would just get pitchers of lager. And that would be like, how long till it closes down? All right, I'll take 2 pitchers if you could, and I'll make this last for a little bit. But yeah, no, we were pretty much the champagne of beers, at least that first year. Well, you can still have gluten, unfortunately. But it's wonderful if you're ever out in Philly, Pennsylvania. I think even Ohio has it. It's a wonderful, wonderful beer to give a shot. So no pun intended. All right. So for those who don't drink, we also have the mocktail. The mocktail is something called Blue Shoes. I'm not going to modify it, at least not intentionally. I couldn't find the exact drink of Blue Hawaiian that I wanted. So we have something slightly different. This is called Blue Shoes. It's something that is similarly colored and things like that. So I thought they'd be nice for a mocktail. We're going to modify it and we're going to call it Court Shoes, because you can go to court after having multiple of these court shoes. You should definitely not go to court, especially in front of any of the judges present, after the Lansing sidebar or 2 of those. So we're going to go ahead and make the mocktail, which is the court shoes. And for the rules for mocktails, they're a little bit more flexible. Because you have different mixers, you can swap in what you like and just try different flavors. Generally, if you stick to light mixers together or dark mixes together, you're generally going to have some success. Depends on your personal interest. So for this one, it has a blue Hawaiian punch. We have a white cranberry juice. I'll pour one out for my homie Takura, who I don't think is here, who's a big cranberry juice guy. And we have 7-Up. You can modify this recipe any which way you want. If you like 7-Up, add a little bit more. I'm not a big 7-Up guy, so I might go on a little bit less, okay? So for making your mocktail, you're gonna 1 to 10, once again, just take a cup. Once again, this is a very different cup. I promise I didn't drink that first one yet. So you're gonna take that. I still have ice in my mixer. Well, I'm actually gonna put new ice in it. So I mix the alcohol with the mocktail. And I'm going to take a shot of the blue Hawaiian, which I poured into another glass for ease. And this one I'm going to pour directly into the cup. I think I can have 2 of those. Yep, 2 shots of that. Once again, just mixing it with my sugar here. I'm going to do 1 shot of the white cranberry. There we go. And then it just says 7-Up to taste. And you're going to find a lot of the mocktails have that kind of thing because they're less exacting than you're going to really experience with a genuine cocktail. So like I said, 7-Up's not my thing. I'm just going to go ahead and pour a little bit on the top. And as I recommended to everyone, I'm going to go ahead and mix it up so that it doesn't taste only like.
I need to be clear. I'm sending hearts and saying it's so cute, but it's Jackie's dog. I mean, I just want to make sure you don't think I'm putting the moves on you like in this, like during this. I just realized that if you looked at that, you might be somewhat frightened and think like, oh my gosh. But anyway, Jackie's dog is the cutest dog. Don't listen. I don't want my dog to listen, but it's just so darn cute. So.
Mary, my dog hears you and offense has been noted.
Okay, well, excuse me, Ailish, my dog is offended too. Oh my God, look at this. Look at like a cute dog off. Oh, look at the little paws. Sorry, Chris, you see how easily I get distracted by a dog.
Oh, you're quite okay.
That's all somebody needs to do in court is like bring in a dog and I'll be like, oh, you know what I mean? That's right.
So we figured out why the prosecutor's office has support dogs. It's just to distract Mary. Got it.
No, Chris, this is genuinely to support me throughout my endeavors.
And Jackie, what's your dog's name? Koba or Cora or something?
His name is Kuma. It's Japanese for bear because when he was a puppy, he looked more like a bear. And now he doesn't look as much like one, but we aren't going to change his name.
Aww. And Teddy, Ailish, what's your dog's name?
It's Murphy.
What is it? Edward
Murphy.
Oh.
I like to call him Pupper though, because Murphy's a little bit. I mean, he's kind of.
Oh.
Hi.
Yes, Chris, don't be worried. The so cute and all the hearts are to the dogs, not to you.
I was saying my girlfriend's in the room and you're going to meet her. We'll try to have you and your husband over sometime this summer. So you're going to have to deal with her personally. I'm just going to say it. So let's pour our mocktail out. The nice thing about a mocktail is that it's oftentimes going to resemble what you have with a cocktail. So for people who want a beer to blend in and things like that, and there's nothing wrong with not drinking by any means or anything like that, but you're going to have a similar color to it. Tastes like sugar high to me. So we're going to actually get a second opinion. Christina? I'm going to hand these off to my girlfriend who will come on video so she can drink them. Yeah, that's the cocktail. So, yeah, come on over. Oh, evidently we're going to cheers. So we'll raise a glass. We'll do another cheers. So cheers, everyone. From the board of directors, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking it out with us this year, especially to our sponsors. I know the lack of in-person events, definitely it's felt by all our membership. And thank you so much for everyone who's continued to sponsor us and continue to support us with their membership or their sponsorship. So Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate it. And she took the mocktail and left me with the cocktail. That's why I love her. So yeah, feel free to modify these recipes. If you like the taste of gin, you can lighten up on the simple syrup for the Lansing sidebar. Try not to get sued. And then for the mocktail, feel free to lighten up on the 7-Up or go heavy on the 7-Up, depending on what you like. So I don't have anything else. Believe it or not, I think I had prepared notes for this. I think I'm supposed to tell you all to drink responsibly, and if you do drink, make sure to make a plan so you don't have to drive. But if you do drink and drive, and something happens, feel free to look us up at the Nichols Law Firm. We're happy to have you as a client. I'm in the bar directory. But other than that, I can go ahead and take any questions anybody has.
All right, Chris, I have a Big Bang Theory question for you.
Okay.
You ready?
We'll find out. I don't know if this is the show or if this is something I'm supposed to know.
The show.
The meaning of life.
The show, no.
Okay.
Well, it's like
Do you know what
trivia.
a
Come on,
rose
Sandy.
water Ricky is?
Oh, God. I remember it from the show, I believe, but I have no idea. I'd have to look it up.
It makes two of us. You're good.
Other questions from everybody? I know people have to get going and things like that. We appreciate you spending some time with us today. Sorry for the lack of shrimp, but at least it's cooler in your home than it usually is at this event. But feel free to speak up or ask any questions, anyone. Hey, Judge.
So Chris or anyone else on the board, what's the plan to get us back to seeing each other face to face? Does anyone have any thoughts as to what that looks like? Timeline?
Yeah, so the board's playing it by ear right now, just based on the state guidelines. I anticipate that pretty soon, I would think that we're going to be at that point of vaccinations where we can go back to normal. So hopefully, like all of our fall events will be in person, but we're just playing it by ear like everybody else.
And something that I'll bring up to the board next year, because obviously it's a different board. We swap over July 1st, which is when Sandy's done as current president. So thank you, Sandy, for all your great work. But something we're going to bring up is that I'm going to try to have a virtual component at most of our events as well. So for individuals who can't make it or don't feel comfortable appearing in person, we're probably going to also try to have some kind of interactive component with individuals who want to attend via Zoom as well. I know I have a professional Zoom account where I can use it for the ICBA event. So we'll broadcast some of those live events as well, obviously depending on our speakers and things. But we're also going to try to have it so someone's manning that. It's probably honestly going to be me or wonderful Madeline or any of her staff. But we'll have it so that people can participate virtually as well. But I'm really hoping we can be back in person very soon. So I know I'm double vaccinated up and I'm past my 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you much, much more in person coming up here soon. Other questions for the board or about bartending, or feel free to, all laud over Jackie's dog or Ailish's dog.
Jerry, I love your idea. Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine. A wine tasting was the
I
idea.
got excited.
Yeah, I did with some friends a virtual wine tasting, and it was so fun. And then we also did a virtual Cuban cooking class, and that was really fun too. But the virtual wine testing was great because I don't know anything about wine, and I don't know much more than when I started, not because I was having too much fun, but I thought it was really, really fun. And I didn't have to drive anywhere. I was like, cool, I was just in my kitchen. I rolled off my stool and just went in the next room.
Was the rolling off the stool before or after the drink?
Well, both probably. I've fallen off that stool like a million times. And then I just, Judge Damo saw me wandering down the street with my dog and then just pointed me, no, I'm joking, not. Pointed me in the right direction back up.
And I believe the Women Lawyers Association of Michigan, is that the organization, Love? Hold on.
That I didn't know was a bunch of lawyers and friends from around the country. We just decided to do it. So
I think Women Lawyers did a limited event where they actually sent like bottles of wine to people for different region, not mid-Michigan, by the way. That was, I believe, the Women's Bar Association in Oakland County.
Oh, that's fun. This
Yes.
one, you got 4 different bottles. I didn't open up all my bottles, but you got 4 different bottles, and the guy like talked to you all about like wine. It was really cool.
Yeah, very cool. I don't know if we're gonna have that in the budget for this year, but Sandy,
You paid for it yourself.
I know, I was teasing.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I mean, if ICBA's paying for my wine, like I'm off Sandy Lake, you stay in the presidency spot. You know what I mean? Just the election was fraudulent. You keep going, because that'd be great if Sandy's all for that. But
I think I'll choose to defer to Charlie on that.
yeah, Chuck Barbieri, how come you never offered to pay for my wine? You were I'm sorry, you're a terrible president, and it wasn't my idea either. So I was a terrible president too.
I was gonna say, Mary, at one
Yeah,
point
how
you were
far-
in charge
how
of
far
that.
back do we go?
I
in
know,
Statute
I-
of limitations.
What was with us? We were like the worst presidents ever. We weren't paying
know.
for anybody's wine.
Yeah.
Well, Mary, it's never too late to start. Feel free we'll meet up at Sidebar when it opens up again, and you can pay for everybody's wine.
Thank you, Chris.
Generous like that.
We nominate Charlie for that task.
I don't even think Charlie's here, so that sounds like a perfect nomination.
Exactly.
He is very voluntold.
Yep, voluntold to Kerr's word that he always uses at the office.
He who is silent is said to consent.
And for everyone who's not aware, is Charlie Lawler is going to be our president for next year, starting July 1st. So, you can hear it here first that he's planning on doing this this wine tasting event. We'll just have to tell him later.
And he's going to provide wine to everybody free of charge.
There you go. There you go.
That's going to be a really exciting budget meeting this coming year. Put in a wine budget.
You probably want to keep me off that committee because I'm going to be super cheap as always and be like, no.
That is
wanna confirm.
it's like through the roof.
Did the notation about Charlie Lawler and this wine, did that make it to the minutes?
I think this is all off minutes, but this is being recorded. We'll see how it goes. I ultimately possess the recording, and I can always cut this up and remove any portion that I want. So
I think we have a few judges here that can deem it binding, right?
we do indeed.
I'll volunteer for the wine and vodka budget, but that's what.
I think the Basiga Law Firm has sponsored our wine and budget, or our wine and vodka budget.
Sure.
But yes, if people are interested in cooking class, we could do that sometime too. I also enjoy cooking, so although I'll probably have to pronounce Worcestershire properly for that one. So other feedback for either the board or about drinking or TV shows or dogs or what else are we missing? All right, well, the time.
I think Guy Fieri pronounces it Worcestershire.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
there's
a
a
step
wide
above
range.
even me, so I
Yeah.
gotta step up my game here. So.
Well, we thank you all for coming tonight. And thank you so much, Chris. That was wonderful. I just had a blast. I really appreciate your efforts in doing this. In a time when we can't meet in person, it's nice to at least get to be able to get together and see each other on a screen and have a lot of fun. So you did a wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it,
Thanks,
Sandy,
Chris.
and great job this year. Thanks everybody for
Thanks.
being here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but people can feel free to stick around and chat and do whatever you like. So